Well, Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 109, Lamar, Ebony Hustle.
Well, first of all, we have to preface this.
Yes.
Before we put you in pain. You had found this film studio.
Maverick.
Is it Maverick Entertainment
Something.
or Films?
Maverick Entertainment, whatever.
And they have, I'm going to try to be as politically correct as I can for YouTube. They have urban films.
Yes.
With a lot of African Americans dealing with certain things that you would see in the urban environment.
That's right. And these fine folks have brought to the world such titles as Lot Lizards, Sugar Babies, and Gangster Girls.
Yeah, they have a little motif going on there. They have some weird sci-fi stuff too.
Yeah, that seems like stuff that they just kind of randomly picked up along the way.
Exactly.
It's like all of a sudden, like out of the blue, like there's some sci-fi movie.
See, here's the thing. Even in choosing this movie, it's not just the box cover that fooled us. It's also the premise.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this a little bit before. This movie is doing something. It has a hidden agenda. And
to bore people? Was that the hidden agenda?
To what people?
To bore people?
Well, no, that was just the result.
That was a byproduct.
That was a byproduct. But I'll go ahead and spoil it. This movie was a cougar fantasy film.
You don't say.
This movie was a cougar, and if you're not familiar with the terminology of cougar, that is an older woman that dates younger men.
It's funny you brought that up, Lamar, because that was one of the things that I learned from this movie. I learned about the Cougar Commandments. Actually, in fact, I wrote them down. Would you like to know what Cougar Commandment number 1 is, Lamar?
Let's do it for the audience. Go ahead.
Put the children to bed for this. Dick loves pussy, and pussy loves dick. Cougar Commandment number 2, Lamar. Keep your cool, but not just any cool. Cooler than Sammy Davis Jr. sipping a slushie in Siberia.
Whoa. For our audience members who don't know who Sammy Davis Jr. is.
You replace him with Snoop Dogg.
Because, of course, this is for younger men, so they're not familiar with Sammy Davis Jr.
And Cougar Commandment number 3, Lamar says here, she doesn't come quick, she comes hard.
I mean, you learn something new every day. Yeah. So, well, let's get into the premise of the movie.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, you have the main character, and like we said, she's a cougar. And she's an investigator for like insurance fraud. And while she's investigating someone, this lady comes to her for help. I need you to investigate something. My daughter, she's disappeared. She's run off with this guy that he's like a rapper, but he used to be a gangster. Now he's out of jail and he's become a preacher that raps, but he's still an asshole. And
yes.
Secretly, even though the whole world thinks he's like amazing. Got this girl now that's underaged. And now our character has to go like investigate and try to get her back.
Yes.
Which on the surface might have been a cool idea. I was thinking the whole time watching this could have been like a throwback. Like a Pam Grier throwback.
Exactly.
Sneaking around, kicking ass, shooting shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Foxy Brown, Cleopatra Jones. For our younger audience, once again, look up Pam Grier in the 70s. She was like one of the first like women, definitely like the first black woman to be like an action hero, and also very sexy and an icon.
Yep. I was like, once she starts going after the guy or whatever, trying to get the girl back, like she's gonna be blowing people away. Mind you, on the cover of this thing, she's holding a gun. So never actually uses a gun.
We'll talk about the gun later, and go ahead.
I don't know what else to say about the good portion of this movie is her talking on the phone on video chat with younger men and stuff.
Is it now? I didn't notice that she ever talked on a phone. Dear God, that was like half the movie. There is a scene where the guy is on video, but she has the phone up to her face.
Yeah, I remember that. That was dumb as hell. And all the while, like some other guy that's wanting to date her, but in her mind, he's not, he's not young enough. So she's like, I don't want to date you. Well, this comes to play later on in the movie, Lamar.
Yeah.
Would you like to explain that whole?
Okay. So, it's a circle of almost like hypocrisy and kind of just dumb writing, because apparently this younger guy, he pulls a fatal attraction.
Yeah.
Kidnaps her, and then the older guy comes, beats him up, helps her out, and then they end up together.
And that's the weird thing about the reason why that whole thing is important is, as the main character, she's more of a damsel in distress all the time in this movie, instead of being the badass that we thought she was gonna be.
Yes.
Because even when she tracks down the girl and they get to the bad guy's house, she ends up captured, and one of his henchmen that fell in love with her ends up rescuing them. Like she doesn't really kick ass.
No.
Which sucks. Also, another thing that just made me laugh, just a random thought. There was a scene where she had a flashback when she was a stripper.
Okay.
And they were in the stripper dressing room in this flashback, but it was obviously the same house that they filmed this in or whatever. But to make it seem like a strip club, they put like neon flashing lights, but I was like, they're in the dressing room.
What if they want to have a party and get hyped up in their dressing room?
Well,
Joe,
I don't
you
know.
have to think of these things.
I figured to make it difficult to put on your makeup when you can't see by the fucking neon lights in the dressing room.
Well, we can't say anything. We've never been strippers. We've never
true.
been strippers, so we don't know. But Joe, what's the most important thing about this scene? Does it have any bearing on the plot?
Not really. Like, I don't know exactly what they were trying to get across with that, other than she used to be a stripper.
Yeah. That's it. That was the scene. That was it. She was going to the bathroom and she remembered how she was a stripper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do we rate it?
I mean, we could be here all day talking about this movie. I will say this. Like you said, the premise was something good. I'm going to give my quick premise because you probably have a premise of your own and you have notes and all this stuff. It should have been, I'm sorry, don't kill me, everybody. It should have been a younger woman. And then she should have seen somebody like get beat up, and then she intervenes. And then somebody else saw that and she's like, hey, can you help me? My daughter's in trouble. She's with the same villain type of guy. And then she's like, no, I don't want to get involved. But then out of the consciousness of her heart, she gets involved because she's tough. Then you give her some immediacy. You give her some action. And then at the end, you know, she's like, no, this is the last time I'll ever do this. But then somebody else asks her. And then she ends with, on the phone, Ebony Hustle here. You need some help. That's what the movie should have been. This is not that movie. This movie was a cougar fantasy. This movie was for somebody that's like, I still got it. All the young men want me because I'm a cougar. And it just became boring. So I'm going to give this movie a 1. This is a 1. It had, she really, like you said, she didn't really do that much. And we thought she was going to be beating people up, shooting people and sneaking around, Pam Grier style, but no.
Yeah, I agree. It's a 1. It sucks. Like I said, like, I don't even mind that she was a cougar. I thought that would have been fine, but I just, like, if she was just a badass, like, it would have been cool. Like, okay, she's an insurance fraud investigator, and then she gets roped up into this thing, and now she has to put her, you know, her intelligence but also like learn how to shoot guns and start kicking ass, and she gets into trouble. She has to go undercover and do things. Like, that would have been great, but yeah, this was just nonsense. It was just awful nonsense.
Yes, Black Collar, her character.
Yeah.
She could fight. She knew karate and stuff like that. She took matters into her own hands. No, this movie was disguised as like a stripper that becomes a detective, but no, it's a cougar fantasy. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that wraps this one up. Now, don't forget those Cougar Commandments, Lamar, as you go off into the world.
I will remember them. I don't know how I apply those in a relationship, but I'm sure that if I run into a cougar that I am interested in, then, I will know what to do.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ebony Hustle. Peace.
Deuces.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, or Lamar will pay you a visit.
This is a time for beating the shit out of people.